Oh, damn it. What keeps giving me that shit? That funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on IE Newswire and the Evil FB Network and Rumble. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire on Rumble. Also YouTube. I think we, for the millionth day in a row, we ain't get kicked off YouTube on that. Oh, man. Those tongue twisters when you say the wrong thing, or you think you said something and you didn't. Makes great outtakes for people to post on down the line. Dr. Kelly Victory should be in at the bottom of the hour, as she usually is on a Monday. Of course, the whole Biden debacle is getting very interesting. What's really cracking me up on this whole deal is the left is eating their own now. I mean, the loon left is eating their own now on this whole thing. They realize they've been lied to. The reporters at the White House are getting all PO'd at Miss Alphabet Soup. And really the whole Biden administration, they've been telling and they've been rolling across Biden's sharper an attack. Nothing to worry about. There's all a bunch of QAnon dudes out there making up all these stories. In fact, Biden's never been as sharp as he has ever been, as he is today. They've been running that rhetoric, well, for the whole 3.5 years, but especially as the drumbeat has gotten stronger on all of this. Because Olivia Nunzi, one of the big New York Times Magazine or whatever it is, columnists that's in the clique of the nutcases, as I call them, she knew about all this stuff. And we'll get into the article a little bit later. She didn't report it. She didn't report the facts. The big donors were coming to her and saying, hey, in the last year, because they couldn't hide Biden forever. I mean, they hit him over COVID back in 2020. Now he's 4 years worse, but they got to get money to run. Takes probably a minimum of $500 million to run a credible presidential campaign. Probably even more than that. You even start talking at $500 million. And then it goes up from there. So they've been saying, hey, Biden's lost it. How can this guy go out there and campaign, do all the stuff and everything else? That's been coming from guys that are writing checks for millions of dollars to the Biden-Harris campaign. Now they're hoping for not hoping, They are demanding, not just expecting, they will demand a big pay. For every dollar they invest, they're figuring and getting 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000 million back. So that's just the reality of these situations. This has been going, and not only Olivia Nunzi, but a whole bunch of them either have not been reporting it or knew it was going on and we'll get into some of those yo-yos here in a sec. But she's the one that broke the story, I think, on Friday. Again, in the New York Magazine. And I think Alex Bergeson, he's saying, like, WTF? You knew this was going on. Olivia, elitist. You didn't report it until it became so blatantly obvious you couldn't ignore it. Now, she's not the only one. There's been a big conspiracy that's cropped up over this whole enchilada. And as I've said before, I've said the last couple of weeks, especially ever since the big presidential debate, I've just been enjoying the hell out of it. Because me and a whole host of millions of you have been ridiculed, called names, told we're stupid, bunch of Neanderthals, and that's the kind stuff. And we have been right at about 147% rate. Didn't take a physician, which we'll get into when Dr. Kelly comes on, hopefully. Anybody could tell Joe was done. Joe was done in 2020 with the COVID and everything. It just made it much easier to hide it. Today, you can't hide it. In the hillbilly vernacular, he is tripped out of his tree. He's done. There is no way that that man is capable of being president, mentally capable of being president of the United States of America. I think Jill Biden, his wife, his son Hunter, and his brother Jim are committing elder abuse to proportions we have hardly ever seen because they know once Trump gets on there, their days as free living people are most likely over. It's the Biden crime family is going to have a ton of bricks coming down on them. But so they've got a big self-interest and to keep rolling Joe out there as much as possible. But the part of it is, and I mean, let's go back. I had the Moreno Valley Matters twins in here, Amber and Deborah. And when Amber was shouting, and I'll Amber, come in here and defend. I say, you are number one racist. And you always systemic racism and all that. I asked you the definition of racism, and you had a big blank stare. And you've been back since. Where's all your badass little stuff coming on? We put out the challenge. We will debate this until the cows come home. I got 3 words for anybody. Prove me wrong. Didn't even know the definition of systemic. Doesn't have a clue, but spouted it out because that was a line. It's like they're doing with Joe. His line, they've been doing it. We'll get into that here in a few seconds. Of lies and deceit. We went through it with COVID. We've been through it before with many other things. It was COVID before. Now they're trying to hide Joe. And they've either lied about it or didn't say anything. They knew and they didn't say what the truth was or what was really going on. Joe Biden shouldn't even, the 25th Amendment, impeachment, whatever, should be invoked. Even as much as I would shudder to think of the Ho getting in there as president, even for a few months. But as they say, you got the president, if anybody launches a nuclear strike, you got a maximum of 7 minutes to make a decision on a deterrence or a counter strike. 7 minutes. You can't be going, oh, what was that that's happening? Or you, what? That's the reality of our situation. And I really hope I don't, you've had to deal the nuclear clock. It's like within 2 seconds, and it's never been that. That's because people that have got some heavyweight intelligence into this stuff are nervous about Joe being in there. This is how prominent it is. New York Mag reporter defends the timing of Biden's conspiracy silence bombshell and backlash. Star reporter Olivia Nunzi faces criticism over a Biden bombshell. It's by Brian Flood on Fox News 8. Reporter Olivia Nunzi defended her viral bombshell about President Biden, telling critics she had been chasing down whispers about the president's fitness for office for months. She's known. She didn't chase down it. She's known. Yeah, it came out on the 4th of July. She put it out there. And she's been covering it up for at least, not months, at least a year. The timing of the staggering July 4th New York Magazine feature, The Conspiracy of Silence to Protect Joe Biden, which Olivia Nunzi was on. Alex Bernson said it. I work on most stories for months. This piece of conspiracy silence has made people reluctant to talk. No, they've been chattering like a box. When guys like me are hearing about it, it ain't no big freaking secret, Olivia. Nunzi wrote that high-powered Democrats were secretly in agreement with Trump supporters who believe Biden may not really be acting as president after all, but they were afraid to blow the whistle on Biden's issues until they were on full display during the debate meltdown. So if we got a condition going on with El Presidente, we should be ignoring it because, we have to see anybody that could see Joe, even of the last, especially the last year, or even taking from when he was sworn in as president, January 20th, 2021. You could see the steady decline. Didn't take a rocket science to figure it out, or any of that other stuff. Nunzi knew what the hell was going on. She chose to cover it up. That's on her watch. To try and write a New York magazine or try to bypass it, or this didn't go on. Fox News political analyst Bert Hume, she wrote about it today, more than 6 months later, and after numerous televised episodes showing his sense of senility and fragility, or fertility, or whatever the hell the word is. Now she writes off as a conspiracy of silence. She ought to know. Molly Hemingway said Nancy participated in the conspiracy of silence by her own admission since January. Interesting. Rich Lowry, Bill Carter. They knew. They all knew. All the insiders have known for months. Nunzi defended, saying, I'm made of steel, but I don't care about the criticism, but I do think it's a good opportunity to inform people about what the reporting process entails. Yeah, the reporting process, Nunzi, is to tell the frickin' truth. Or do you want to be a Hitler, Pravda, whatever? Let's use the Hitler word back on y'all. Y'all that want to go on there, or y'all that want to do. If you want to vote for Biden Harris, you hate America. I posted it today. You hate yourself. To say when they work on stories for months, and I stick it where the sun don't shine, Olivia. You're nothing but a propagandist piece of ass. And that's the facts, Jack. We don't need to hear your prissy little, oh, and this and that. And then all of a sudden, those evil white hillbillies out there, go back in the kitchen and make coffee and tea or something and cookies, whatever like Tammy Wynette or whatever the witch Hillary said. You both should be in there doing that because that's what you're qualified for. You may be a brilliant technical writer only to give the sound of BS. Here's the other BS ardents with Mika Brzezinski, who's the daughter of that Zbigniew Brzezinski, Secretary of State of Carter, who was another big a-hole that got us into this stuff in the 70s. As bad as Henry Kissinger was, Brzezinski, her dad, was 10 times worse. Go study history so maybe we don't repeat these mistakes of the past, please. This is after the State of the Union 3 months ago.
You're the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We are the United States of America. And there is nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
President Biden closing the State of the Union address last night. Speaking for just over an hour, the president made his case for a second term, leaning into some of the themes that will play prominently as we head into November, like abortion rights and immigration. Biden also hammered away at Donald Trump and his Republican critics over a number of policies, calling them out, offering a sharp contrast between his administration's accomplishments and those of his predecessor. Welcome to Morning Joe. Along with Joe, Willie, and me, we have the host of Way Too Early, White House Bureau Chief at Politico, Jonathan Lemire, former White House Director of Communications to President Obama, Jennifer Palmieri, President of the National Action Network and host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, Reverend Al Sharpton, President Emeritus of the Council of Foreign Relations, Richard Haass, and Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist and associate editor of the Washington Post, Eugene Robinson, is with us. Also with us this morning, author and NBC News presidential historian, Michael Beschloss. And Joe, I will tell you, I'm at the Forbes Know Your Value 3050 Summit here in Abu Dhabi on this International Women's Day. Last night, President Biden spoke a lot about women's issues impacted by the overturning of Roe versus Wade. And we're going to get to all of that in just a moment. But I'm telling you, Joe Biden proved, I think, he still has a pulse. That's number one. And Speaker Mike Johnson might have rolled his eyes more than both my daughters in their entire lives. What's your take?
Well, I mean, had a pulse. He had Frazier's left hook. I mean, I have never seen, and part of this is delivery, part of it is speech writing, part of it is setting up the argument for the fall. I've sat through a lot of these, and I have never seen one side put in so many uncomfortable positions.
Joe Scarborough and Mika and Michael Beschloss. If anybody listens to Beschloss or that Doris Kearns Goodwin, these jackass historians, he's over there agreeing. They knew 3 months ago the dude was done. That was one of the worst State of the Union addresses ever in the history of televised State of the Union addresses. Oh, he did better than a Frazier left hook. Joe Biden wasn't as good as a Joe Frazier fart. A Joe Frazier fart was better than this clown. And there's Mika and that and Beschloss and all these clowns. Oh, he did absolutely great and this and that. You are lying sacks of crap. Here's a lying Joe a few months ago.
Right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth.
Okay, I'm listening.
And F you if you can't handle the truth.
All right, take it easy, man.
This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
F you, Joe. Why don't you have enough balls to come on this show or any show and defend your words? F you to everybody that's been telling the truth, Joe and Mika and Joe Biden himself and Jill and everybody else. You yo-yos a post, I'm like, Joe Biden. Go screw yourself.
Not a close second, and I've known him for years. This is the last chance for Democrats to decide whether this man we've known and loved for a very long time is up to the task.
You damn well knew 3 months, a year, 4 years ago he wasn't up to the task, and you've been touting it because you're getting paid very well to lie, to be a proud artist, to work for Hitler, who's in the White House right now. You want to use those words? Then let's use them properly, everyone. All you left with, come on in here and defend it. You called Trump every name in the book. Joe Reed, oh, I can't. Tell me who to vote for. I don't want Hitler in the White House. Stick it, lady.
Supporting you yesterday compared to, say, a lot of the Washington insiders and Hollywood moguls, and go down the list of very powerful people that want you out compared to the support that you had in Pennsylvania yesterday. That said, there are a lot of people of goodwill who love you, who believe you did a great job in your first term, who are still concerned. Yesterday, the topic came up of the Stephanopoulos interview, where you were asked the question, how would you feel if Donald Trump beat you? How would you feel after you lost? And you said, well, as long as I did the best I could do, that's the most important thing. That's caused Democrats concern, who believe that losing is not an option. What would you say to those who are concerned by that answer?
It's not an option, and I've not lost. I haven't lost. I beat him last time. I'll beat him this time. And this is a guy who, look, we talk about debates. Look at his performance at debates. He lied over, Trump has 50 lies. I mean, look, this is a guy who says 10% of the universe. I don't want to get into it. He's just a liar. And
That's all they can do is call names. From Joe Biden to Joy Reid to Gavin Newsom to Nancy Pelosi to Corey Jackson or Ulysses Cabrera or whomever. That's all they can do is call names and lie. And then call you a liar. Again, any one of them's got enough nuts to come in here and defend their deal, then prove me wrong.
Is pre-Parkinson's or anything like that, that might explain sort of having a night like that where you couldn't finish sentences.
Look, I had before, I was feeling so badly before the debate. When I came back, they tested me for, I thought maybe I had COVID, maybe there was something wrong, I had an infection or something. They tested me, they gave me those tests, I was clear. So, but look.
We were told, he has a cold. That was with Miss Alphabet Soup, and he had a bad debate, and he had a cold and jet lag from a trip 5 days ago. Who has jet lag 5 days later? You think we're that completely stupid?
Debate performance, but he was back stateside for well over a week. So does he really need more than a week and a half to recover from traveling in Europe? And is that really what he thinks caused his poor debate performance?
So, yeah, just a couple of things, and I do appreciate the question because the president has certainly spoken to this many times about the debate, and so he had an opportunity to do that in front of supporters, and as you just stated, he did that. He talked about, he owned that the debate was not his best night, and he said himself, it's not an excuse, but it's an explanation.
It's not an excuse. He didn't have a cold. He had a cold. He had this. He had that. He had jet lag. He had everything else. Jerry Nadler. Mark Takano from the Inland Empire. Are privately calling for Biden to leave. It's in a USA Today report, as you see. Mark Takano. That's been Adam Smith, Joe Morrell, 4 libtard, dumbass idiots up there in our Congress are calling for Joe to get out.
1 minute, Roy. 1 minute.
And again, Takano, why don't you have your ass in here and answer the questions of somebody that ain't going to back up? because you got no guts. Like all your buddies, you should be publicly saying Joe Biden should go and the hoe should go with her. We need to stop pussyfooting around in 2024. All of us.
30 seconds.
We'll have Dr. Kelly Victory. We'll get into the revelation of the Parkinson's doctor visiting, 9 times in the last year, but he doesn't have any signs of Parkinson's. Then what's it do?
No, nothing's wrong there.
Yes, nothing. Yes.
Here we go, 10 seconds.
.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, management, employees, or affiliates.
There's stuff on just like it's on music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Red 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join our vast video audience in the Evil FB Network and Rumble. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire on Rumble. We're even on YouTube again. Something's wrong with the world if that's happening, but we've been going over the lies that everybody's told. The Olivia Nunzi, the big New York Max Times. I worked for months in doing this. Well, I finally came out with a story because, well, now it's very obvious. No, you were covering it up just like everybody else that was getting paid highly to do this. And then you say, well, I'm tough. Get your prissy little butt in the kitchen and make coffee and teas with Tammy Wynette or whatever the hell Hillary said. Get tired of these Joy Reids and whomever running their jaw, trying to talk bad us. You were perpetuating a lie. You were the propaganda artist for the real Hitler that's sitting in the White House now. I've had about enough of this. It's driving me absolutely crazy. I think it's driving a lot of you absolutely crazy. We cannot have this. We are not pussyfooting around in 2024 anymore. We've been lied to. They've called Trump Hitler, everything else. The real Hitler sitting in the White House right now. And guys like Mika and Joe and this Olivia Nunzi and Joy Reid and everybody else that have been covering it up and tell us we were being complete idiots. We don't know what we're talking about. We're a bunch of QAnon hillbillies out just wanting to slaughter everybody in the world. They've called us every name in the book, and we've been right 147% of the time. As we usually do on a Monday, we have, as I've determined her, the premier physician in all the world, supreme expert on COVID-19 and everything else, Dr. Kelly Victory. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Hey, Roy, thanks for having me. And I got to tell you, you sound angrier than just about everybody but me. Because I am so ticked off about the exact what you're talking about, the amount of gaslighting that has gone on, the fact that, as you well know, I have been reporting about Joe Biden's obvious Parkinsonian dementia since May of 2020. 4.5 years I've been reporting on this. This is first-year medical student stuff. Yet it was denied. We were gaslit up one side and down the other. And now we have Joe Biden in the very advanced stages of Parkinsonian dementia, truly not knowing which end of the fork to use, having no clue where he is most of the time. And the rest of the world is watching this. This is a level of buffoonery that it goes beyond the pale, but it is also a national security threat, the likes of which I'm not sure we've ever seen.
No, I pointed that out earlier. You got 7 minutes. If anybody, let's say Rocket Man or Putin or whomever's got the other nuclear weapons, if they launch one, our president of the United States has got 7 minutes to decide what the hell he's going to do. Make a strike, do whatever, and It's game. You got 7 minutes. You can't be looking around, wandering around. Well, what the heck are you? I don't quite understand. No, you got to make a decision, and you got to make a decision that's going to be the lives of hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people are going to stand in the decision you're going to make in the next 7 minutes. And this ding dong is up there. And now you talk about the ultimate. This has got to be the ultimate gaslighting that's ever been. We get the reports today. The Parkinson's doctor's been there 9 times in the last year, and then they say, but he has no signs of it. Then what the hell is a doctor doing in there 9 times in a year? The Parkinson's doctor, if he doesn't have Parkinson's. I mean, did they really think we're that stupid? Stop me before my head explodes, Dr. Kelly.
No, exactly right. And people are now all of a sudden aghast that he's got a Parkinson's specialist who's been showing up regularly to the White House. And people are saying, what do you think? I'm saying, what do you think? Go back and watch my feed. Go back and watch what I said on Fox News, Newsmax, America's Real Voice, OAN, going back 4.5 years. This is absolutely clear cut. And the problem is that if he can't be, first of all, her report came to the conclusion, Roy, that he was not competent to stand trial, so they couldn't try him. Okay, the Democrats have now decided that he's not competent to be on the ticket. Well, here's the news flash, people. If he's not competent to be on the ticket for the November election, he's not competent to be in the White House with the nuclear codes as of right now. So what's the plan? They are acting as if their entire, challenge is figuring out what they're going to do with the November ticket. I got an idea. What are you going to do about tonight? Like what? Okay. What are you going to do about if the 3 a.m. call comes in tonight? Because you rightly point out that when, a cataclysmic event happens, when we get attacked, when there is a nuclear war, when whatever happens, we need a person at the helm. We need a president who's not going to be having, quote, a bad night.
100%. I mean, it's been beyond for a long time. It's been beyond is he that? Or do we have to take the car keys away from Grandpa's stage? We went far too long past this. Now, I don't care. My whole theory on this, and I could be wrong, but I bet you I'm right. I think it's Joe Biden, I think it's Hunter, and I think it's his brother Jim, because they know in 4 months, they're most likely not looking at freedom because of all the stuff the Biden crime family has done. The only thing they're trying to either negotiate it out or get Kamala in there with the promise that they're going to get a pardon or something, because if they don't do that, they know their world is over. And I think that's the main reason they're pushing him out there, is because they know as soon as that deal is gone, if they don't have a pardon protection, their life is basically over, Dr. Kelly.
No, I agree with you. I think this is largely being pushed by Jill Biden in a part because of her own just love, how enamored she is with the power and the authority and all of the goodies that she gets. But more importantly, because it's the way to protect Hunter, because the only way Joe Biden can, pardon Hunter is if he's in office. On top of it, don't think for a minute that Joe Biden isn't actually running the country right now. It's likely a combination of Barack Obama, Valerie Jarrett, Susan Rice, the cabal, Ron Klain. That's who's actually making the decisions, and perhaps a little bit of Jill Biden mixed in. But it certainly isn't Joe Biden who knows what's going on. He's busy getting his pudding cup and going to bed at 8.
No, at 8. What the reports now say, he gets up at 10, or gets in the Oval Office at 10 and is gone by 3. I mean, what? Why even bother? I mean, if that's all you, what's he doing? Drooling on himself? And I'm probably being kind in that 5 hours. I mean, 5 hours. You're the president of the United States, the most powerful political person in the entire world, and you can only muster up enough gumption, energy, or whatever to sit there, at least sit there as a prop for 5 hours. I mean, holy cow, Dr. Kelly.
Well, this is, one of the things, as I said, of the many classic signs of Parkinsonian dementia that I've reported on is what we call sundowning. People with this type of neurocognitive disease commonly are quite alert and kind of have their act together during the mid-morning until the early afternoon. And then the wheels fall off the bus. So he could easily go from being able to put a sentence together, at midday to not being able to literally to know which end of the fork to use by 5 o'clock at night. It's called sundowning. It's very well described. This isn't something that's, conjecture. People with this type of neurocognitive disorder commonly suffer from this. In addition to things like the frontal lobe behavior that Joe Biden has exhibited, again, going back at least 4 years. When he's at a town hall and he blurts out, you dog-faced pony soldier to a young girl at his town hall, that's what we call frontal lobe behavior. Saying things, blurting things out that are inappropriate and not consistent with your normal behavior. Same thing, he told an auto worker in Detroit to shut up. These are things, he has every single physical and cognitive sign of Parkinsonian dementia. As I predicted 4.5 years ago, these things always get worse. It is a progressive disorder. There is no cure for it. And unfortunately, it's not linear, meaning you can't predict exactly when the wheels are going to fall off the bus, but I promise that they will, and unfortunately, I fear they have.
Yeah, we're a lot closer to that than the beginning of this, as we've seen it play out for 4 years. I mean, he was basically hit from 17 to 20, when he went from vice president to that, so we didn't see much, and then the campaign started, and we, a lot of us are going, this ain't looking good, but they were able to ditch it or, cover it a lot with the COVID and everything else going on. Like they said, they kept him in the basement long enough to get him in there. And then, but since that point, we have seen, I'm no medical doctor. The only purpose I have in the medical field is keeping the ER doctors employed and stuff. That's what I know about it. But I could see this guy it doesn't take, you don't have to have medical training. If you've been around anyone that's had Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's disease, any of these cognitive disorders, like you said, you can see these are classic signs. These are not, you have to study in that. These are the classic, you look up on the internet and it says this is happening. That's where we're at with this guy, Dr. Kelly.
No, exactly right. And that's what this was so tragic, because it's predictable. It was very obvious, but they went out of their way. Frank, listen, I lost a number of steak dinners, Roy. When he was elected in 2020, I was certain he wouldn't make it through the first year. I said, there's no way. And the problem is I grossly underestimated the efforts that the Democrat Party would go to and the powers around him would go to cover it up, that they would have no problem, quote, calling a lid on his day at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, keeping him hidden in the basement. I underestimated just how far they would go to keep this hidden. And now here we are, on the eve of a election, and a very darn important one. And nobody knows what the heck we're going to do, really. So I think there are going to be a lot of challenges because of the monies that have been raised, because of the electoral, the votes that have already been cast, the fact that they can't just plunk somebody in there, although try they might. I have said I do think that they may try to put Michelle Obama or somebody else in. But the reality is this is a huge, huge risk for us from a national security perspective.
The happiest guy's got to be Trump. He doesn't even have to campaign anymore. He's out playing golf and everything, going up in the polls. But I want to get more to the specific of what Trump and a lot of people have said Trump said like at the debates they're going to give him a shot in the ass and that. What type of medications can they give someone in that condition to temporarily, like to throw them out there for the State of the Union or do an interview or something? What type of stuff could they give somebody in that condition that would, like you say, that could keep them coherent for 15, 20, 30, an hour or so? What would that entail, Dr. Kelly?
Well, I think it's likely a combination, a cocktail of multiple medications, and they certainly did it at the State of the Union, and I think they tried to do it at the debate. It would include a stimulant medication like an Adderall or a Ritalin, an amphetamine type medication, combined with a medication like Provigil or Newvigil, which are medications that help people to maintain focus. Unfortunately, he is so advanced in his disease that I don't see either one of those really being able to do much. In fact, I tweeted out when the debate started, I felt that he had been over-medicated. He had what you called pressured speech. He was blurting things out in rapid succession without, taking a pause or a breath. And I said, oh boy, little Ritalin, little Adderall goes a long way, people. But you might want to back off on the dosing there. But everyone saw the reality, which is even with an ear pod in his right ear, which I am really quite certain he had, and somebody trying to feed him answers, I think it actually served only to make him more confused. So it's kind of like the old adage, if somebody's really drunk, you can give them a bunch of caffeine, and then you've got, what do you have then? You've got a really wide awake drunk. And that's really what she ended up with. You can give them a bunch of stimulants, but it doesn't sober the person up. And I think that's really what you saw at that debate.
And that's what I was what I was thinking of is that go back 3 or 4 months ago to the State of the Union deal. He was good for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then he started tailing off. The debate, like the third word out of his mouth, you could tell this guy's done. And that's what I'm thinking, like I say, I'm obviously no medical expert or anything else, but I'm thinking, I'm thinking at some point, like everything else, the drugs are not going to work. It's like a heroin addict. They got to keep taking more and more of it until they kill themselves, or what crack addict or whatever. Pretty soon your body develops a resistance to it, or it doesn't affect them. You got to hit them more and more and more. And I'm purely thinking that's probably what you were thinking. Well, they hit him with too much. They're probably thinking, well, we got to do this. This is the only shot we got. But what say you, Dr. Kelly?
Well, remember, by the way, at the State of the Union address, Roy, he was reading off a teleprompter. There was no need for him to put together a thought. He did not have to formulate any sort of response. And that's why he was able to keep it together for a bit longer. And even still, as you rightly point out, he then started having trouble with tracking on the teleprompter. There's just so long he was able to maintain that focus. At the debate, oh my Lord, right out of the box, because he was required to try to come up with an answer, to try to formulate a response. And as I said, I think that the voices in his ear through the ear pod served to do nothing other than to confuse him. You note, and the reason I say that I believe he had an ear pod in is not only because he fiddled with his right ear on several occasions, but because any time he was not speaking, he did not look at Trump, and he did not look at the moderators. He instead looked down with his head cocked to the side, kind of the way if you have ever had a dog and you talk to a dog and they're trying to understand what you're saying, they cock their head to the side. I'm trying to figure out what you mean. He appeared to me to be listening to someone, and it was just way too confusing to him without the teleprompter, without a pre-scripted something that he could read. There was simply no way he was going to be able to come across as coherent.
No, our government, CIA, all that's they've got stuff like that we haven't even fathomed of how it works and all that stuff in miniature. Most people would not even notice. They could have something set up on him like that. And unless you were like one of the 0.1% of the people that know about this stuff, you're not going to be able to tell, other than like what you said, the obvious, something was going on because you're not paying attention. If you were completely clean and you were just standing up there one-on-one, a mano, debating, talking, discussing the issues, however you want to say it, you're going to be looking at the guy, like you say, you're going to be looking at the moderator. You're going to be back and forth in that. You're not going to be looking down or trying to, what did they say? What am I supposed to say? That was fairly obvious to me too on that whole so-called debate thing, Dr. Kelly.
Yeah, and so the question is really, you can try to blow it off to a bad night or cold medication or not enough sleep or whatever else. But this is the person who represents not only our country internationally, but is the individual, Roy, who's got to be the one who answers the call at 2 a.m, who's going to be the one who's going to articulate a response to a foreign leader, who's going to be the person to stand up in front of the country to console them in a time of crisis. And it's very clear to everybody that he can't do that. What I think is somewhat more terrifying is, should they follow the normal, the expected line of succession, well, then that puts Kamala Harris there. God help us and save us. I mean, I don't really know that we could survive that. I'm not sure I could survive the cackle, let alone the entire sort of, what she might say or do. So I suspect that maybe they're going to try to keep Biden in there. I think it's probably what's best for Donald Trump is to go ahead and just run against Joe Biden. But you never know. You and I assume that they're going to follow the laws, they're going to follow the Constitution, they're going to follow the standard procedure. And since we both know that that isn't necessarily the case, we may end up with the Hail Mary pass that we weren't expecting.
I kind of think, this thing's changing at the minute. I kind of think what's being negotiated right now is, okay, they know they're going to lose. Come November 5th, they're going to do that. They're going to cut a deal with Kamala. Okay, I'm going to resign. You get to be president for 2 or 3 months and have the title of the first woman, blah, da, 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 da. And then you're going to pardon us 2 minutes before you walk out of the office. I think that's how they do it. Because, I mean, barring, politics can change in a second, in a heartbeat. But on the current trajectory, no matter what they do, they're screwed. We got about a minute left, Dr. Kelly.
No, I think you've probably hit the nail on the head. They could put Kamala in there for the last couple of months, knowing that she will then be replaced, once Trump gets elected, and it's his to lose. I'm not sure that even the cheating Dems can make up the, 8 or 10 points that he's ahead. I think even that would be pretty tough. And then figure that they're going to, dust it off and come back with somebody new in 2028.
100%. That's about the way I see it. Thanks for being on, Dr. Kelly. We'll do this again next week.
Talk soon. Thanks, Roy.
You got it. There's a great Dr. Kelly victory, saying it only as she can and calming me down a little bit after I get a little overwound up on the first 40 or so minutes of the show. But oh man, sometimes you just can't take all this stuff going on, and I think a lot more people are discovering and coming to that conclusion. When the loons on the left and the media that's been getting paid a lot of big money are starting to say, now it's reflecting on us because we were out there carrying this water, and now it's blowing up on us, and they're starting to say, hey, they're starting to turn code on the dude. They're going to have to figure out something to figure out fast. And I think my scenario might be what they're negotiating. But as we say in politics, this stuff can change in a heartbeat, and it certainly will. That's why we all pay attention to it so much, I guess. At least I do. It's a thrill a minute. We'll be right back here. As you know, I've been talking about standing up for our country, doing something. These big box stores stayed open while the little guys closed. Will our voices be heard? Does voting with our dollars work? PatriotSwitch.com gives patriots the power to walk away from the big box stores forever. Stop supporting the enemies of freedom now. That's why PatriotSwitch.com was created, for those who support America. PatriotSwitch.com. Is your car doing the hucklebuck and afraid you will be stuck? Well, head on down to Toyota of San Bernardino, Nissan of San Bernardino, Subaru of San Bernardino, and the San Bernardino Auto Mall, and catch a Camry, look ravishing in a Rogue, or be styling in a Subaru. Don't forget I-10 Toyota in Indio for those of you in the lower desert. You deserve to be the happiest human on the planet. So head on down to one of these 4 great dealerships for the car of your dreams. Spread the word. IE Newswire is now on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 p.m. on Rumble and KMET 1490 AM, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Join all the cool kids who want an eclectic look at the news without all the filters of the evil scoundrels of social media and the despicable dorks of the dominant press. Don't bumble and stumble. Subscribe to IE Newswire on Rumble and roll with the best hillbilly hoedown around. That's it. If you want to buy American, go to PatriotSwitch.com. If you need a new Subaru or Toyota, go to one Cliff Cummings Great Dealerships at San Bernardino Auto Mall at the 10 and 215 freeway. Don't forget I-10 Toyota down in the lower desert. It's going to be a fun 4 months, I can guarantee you that. It's going to, as this is, it's going to take a lot of unexpected twists and turns, as daily life, politics, and everything else does on that. This has been, I can't think of a more fascinating, different twists, intrigue, campaign, and I've seen them over parts of 7 decades in this politics stuff than we've seen this year. That it's been up, down, around, and everything else in some of the most bizarre stuff. It's about time all of us got our ass together. You know, that it's time to quit denying or thinking of that. You know, we got to start plugging along at reality and deal with the situation. You know, no more of this. No more of the listening to these nut cases or whatever, or people that got a self-interest in it or nothing. Put them out to pasture, turn them off. Don't pay attention to them. And you know what? They go away. Quickest way to get a Joanne Reed, or whatever the hell her name, Joe Behar or whatever, and all them cackling heads, turn them off. Ladies, turn them off, please. That'll do it for today. We usually say this time. Mandatory back here in 23 hours. Why? Darn show. In the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid.
All right, Roy, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You got her.